Apex Legends Season 3 has absolutely captivated me. I'm having a blast running around the new map World's Edge and playing with the new legend, Crypto. Up until now, we've only had Bloodhound as the singular surveillance legend to lean on. But now Crypto joins the roster and brings a whole new aspect to the game of Apex Legends. Today, we're gonna go through 13 tips to improve your gameplay with Crypto. Even if you aren't a Crypto main, you can benefit from knowing these tips both when you have a Crypto on your team and when you are facing one, to help you understand what goes through a pro Crypto's mind. Let's hear it for Season 3 by slamming that like button. Also comment down below what your favorite drop locations are in the new map. Tip number 1, Crypto's ultimate EMP will slow enemies and destroy 2 cells of armor on impact. However, if you aren't wearing armor, you obviously cannot take shield damage at all. This is an advanced tip to counter Crypto, but if you are about to get hit by an EMP, simply open your inventory and drop your armor on the ground. Then, after the EMP hits, simply pick your armor back up. This tip can save you from having to use your shield cells to recover your shield after being hit by an EMP. Tip number 2 is that Crypto's drone can pick up teammates' banners. If your teammates get downed and you're being camped by an enemy squad, you can sit outside the fight area and fly your drone in to grab your teammates' banners. Even if your drone gets destroyed, you can now take your teammates to the revive location safe. Tip number 3, flying your drone up to the large banners on the map will show you if there are any enemy squads within range of your drone. It's not an exact science, obviously, but you can glean a lot of information out of this. Firstly, if you see a fat 0 on the banner, you know there are no enemy squads directly next to your squad, and you can rest a bit easier. However, if you see 1 or more, you can then start hunting for these squads and alert your team. Tip number 4, the drone can fly in and out of the death zone without taking any damage. This is useful for grabbing teammates who died in the death zone without taking any damage yourself, but you can also use it to keep your drone from being destroyed while you're looking for enemies, as often they will not be looking for your drone if it's in the death zone. So if you're really looking to flank an enemy team, fly into the death zone and then come back in behind them, and they won't expect the drone to come from that direction. Tip number 5, treat your drone as if it were an attached security camera when you place it. This means try to leave it against a wall, on a perch, or up against a rock. I know it is tempting to leave your drone up in the air to help spot enemies while you reposition, but against good players, this drone will not last very long. It will often get destroyed immediately if you leave it sitting up in the air by itself. However, placing it against terrain or on a building makes it far less likely to be spotted and destroyed, and will give you more uptime without incurring the cooldown for the drone ability. Tip number 6, when flying your drone into enemy territory, fly along buildings or fly very low to the ground. Open airspace is the fastest way to get your drone destroyed, but flying fast along the ground means you will be less likely to be spotted, and you can get to where you're going easier. It also leaves you less vulnerable to enemies shooting your drone from far away. Tip number 7, even if you aren't piloting your drone, it will spot enemies passively if it's active. So you really want to have as much drone uptime as possible when you're playing Crypto. I like to pop my drone early and leave it somewhere, even if I don't pilot very far from where I released it. Sometimes I'll even just pop the drone and cancel immediately just to have it up, as it will often spot enemies coming from a flank position before you can. Tip number 8, your ultimate. The EMP can be triggered through walls against enemies that are camped in a building or above. It can also be triggered remotely without you needing to pilot your drone at all. This is even more reason to always have your drone out, as you can place it in spots that will easily get you a nice EMP without having to jump into your drone. You can also place the drone against the wall of a camping squad, run towards the building, and while you're running, trigger the EMP, then enter the building right after the EMP hits while they're slowed for a sweet surprise part. Tip number 9, the EMP will remove your shields and slow you. So avoid being a derp and EMPing yourself. The EMP will also slow your teammates if they're caught in the blast, though it will cause no damage. It's important as Crypto to be aware of where your teammates are when your EMP goes off. A lot of what goes into playing Crypto effectively is being hypersensitive to your positioning, the positioning of your teammates, teammates, and the positioning of your enemies. Keeping good track of all of these locations will make a champion crypto out of you. Tip number 10, never spend too long in your drone. I see so many cryptos making this mistake. You want to be weaving drone time into your gameplay in short bursts. Popping into the drone to reposition and then popping right out. Sitting in your drone for too long comes with a lot of risks. Firstly, you, the crypto, are sitting still and are susceptible to being pushed, sniped, or naded into oblivion. Secondly, you are not moving with your squad while you're in your drone and can unwittingly create distance between you and your teammates, meaning you will not be able to help them if they get pushed and vice versa. I see this happening a lot with people playing crypto where they spend a lot of time in their drone, and when they exit the drone, they realize the teammates are very far from where they are right now, and it creates a really awkward situation where either you get pushed and they have to come back to help you, or vice versa, and you really want to be able to keep up with your teammates while you're moving across the map. Apex is all about getting high movement and getting to where you're going quickly. Tip number 11, recalling your drone does not trigger the cooldown. So get into the habit of recalling your drone early and often. Keep your drone close to where you need it at all times. An example of this is if your drone is watching where your team has already looted and you don't recall it when you start moving forward again, if you try to jump into your drone later, it will be far behind you and you will need to wait for the recall before you can use it again. Hit that like button if this has happened to you, where you jump into your drone and try and help your team and you forget, oh yeah, I left it in the last town. Using your drone is a constant dance. It is almost an art form when used correctly. Tip number 12, during downtime where you have finished a fight or there are no squads nearby, jump into your drone and fly high up into the sky to get a scout of the areas around you. This comes with a lot of really awesome benefits. Look for far off squads that will tell you where the action is coming next. You can easily spot care package drops, lifelines, or even look for far off gunfire to get a sense of where the rest of the enemy squads are gathering. You can also look for looted and unlooted locations to help guide your team into a route that will lead to more gear in the end. Tip number 13, in the first few tips, we went over how to avoid getting your drone destroyed. This is based on the fact that players who see an enemy drone will usually try to destroy it as fast as possible. However, sometimes this can be used in your favor. If you aren't sure where enemies are, or if they are camped nearby, you can fly your drone into open airspace unsafely to bait out shots that will reveal to you and your team where enemies may be hiding. Tell your teammates you're about to expose your drone and then watch to see if anyone shoots at it. This can often tell you if enemies are outside of drone range but are headed your way, because as they're heading towards your squad and they see a drone, they're gonna want to shoot at it. And that does it for these 13 tips to be a better crypto player in Season 3 of Apex Legends. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.